Good afternoon. This is Jennifer Schaus coming to you live from Washington, D.C., and thanks for joining us today in our Webinar Wednesday series. Today is December 19th, and it's the last day in our 2018 series. We've got a full schedule today, so hopefully you're joining us not just for today's 12 o'clock slot, but up until about 4:30 today, we've got a webinar every 30 minutes. All of our webinars are complimentary. We bring in industry experts, attorneys, accountants, and others to share their knowledge about government contracting. All the webinars are complimentary. You can find those on our website under the webinar section. And today's recordings should be posted by tomorrow or Friday at the latest. You can also find those on our YouTube channel, slide share for the actual PowerPoints, and that will feed into our LinkedIn profile. We do have some upcoming classes in 2019. On January 15th is the Teaming, Partnering, and Subcontracting. Later in the month, January 29th, we cover GSA schedules. You can sign up for those on our website under the event section. We do offer advertising in our newsletter, which now reaches over 13,000 unique subscribers. And we also are opening up advertising in our 2019 webinar series. A little bit about us. We do provide professional services for both service and product companies that sell to the government. Ranges from market analysis reports, training, GSA schedules, contract administration, and more. A full list of our services is on our website, as well as upcoming events and seminars. A little bit about my background here, and today we are talking about the GSA schedule, specifically mastering the actual proposal. So I've got a short agenda here to squeeze in about 30 minutes. We'll talk through some of the basics about the GSA schedule, and then we'll go through each of the sections, the admin, the technical, and the pricing, talk about best practices, and then I'll make some concluding remarks. We don't take questions, so if you do have questions at the end, contact information is posted there. So some of the basics, the GSA schedule is one of many ways that the government can purchase from you. It's called a multiple award schedule, meaning they make multiple awards to thousands of vendors. In fact, about 20,000 companies hold GSA schedules. It's also referred to as a federal supply schedule, or FSS. And it is just a marketing tool. It is absolutely not required. Don't let anybody try to sell you a schedule telling you that it's required to do business with the government. It is not. GSA just does a really good job of marketing themselves. And so all agencies can use the schedule. There's billions of dollars that flow through it, but again, it is not required. It is just an option for the federal government. It is a contract, so it comes with terms and conditions. Some of the terms are listed here, which is it's a 5-year contract initially. So as you submit your proposal to GSA and you are approved, you have a 5-year contract with 3 5-year renewable periods. So each of those renewable periods, if you went from start to finish, it would be in essence a 20-year contract. That would be based on the fact that you would meet all the terms and conditions, meaning that you've got to bring in at least $25,000 per year through your schedule. What does that mean? Well, if you have a $5 million contract with Department of the Air Force or Agriculture or Commerce, if they're not purchasing through your schedule, GSA doesn't care. They would cancel your schedule. So one smart thing to do is perhaps consider who are your customers and what is the preferred method that they use to purchase. If it's the GSA schedule and there's enough revenue in there for your particular business, then it probably makes sense to pursue the schedule. But make sure you know how big the market is before you decide to go down the path. The other big thing about the schedule, it's 99% based on your lowest prices. So your company will be vetted and checked out on a variety of factors, but the biggest piece that GSA puts the most weight on is securing your lowest rates. So you'll make some disclosures to them, you'll negotiate with GSA, you'll get awarded a GSA schedule with set rates, and then your GSA rates are only a price ceiling, which means as you start bidding for work through your schedule, you will probably bid lower than your GSA rate. So your margins will be very slim. It is, I'll call it a vendor shortlist, the schedule, and it allows the government to buy directly from you, going to a website, gsaadvantage.gov, and they can type in anything from bulletproof vests to copier paper to pens, staplers, professional engineering services, IT systems engineers, and all the rest. So it does mean that it does give you some, I'll say, street credibility in the public sector and add some more muscle to your marketing. But again, not required to do business with the government. You do need to have a compliant proposal. Sometimes it's going to take GSA a couple months to even review that proposal. So you want to make sure that there are no deficiencies in there, that you've dotted every I and crossed every T, and that you don't just meet the requirements, but preferably exceed them. The pricing piece, I went into a little bit of detail in this slide just because it is so important to you and to GSA, both pre and post award. The pricing analysis that GSA does, they're going to look internally at your internal discounts, the discounts that you provide to any of your customers, whether it's a category of customers, meaning all associations or all state and local government entities or all educational institutions, or if there is a specific customer that you provide your discounts to. The pricing analysis for the second piece is they're going to look at the other GSA schedule vendors that sell the same or similar products and or services, and they'll do an analysis. What they'll look at is to make sure that your rates are not higher than the average of the other GSA schedule holders. So if you've got project managers that you're proposing to GSA at a rate of $125 with minimum education, bachelor's, and minimum years of experience, 6, and when GSA goes to the calc.gsa.gov website and they find that all the other project managers with those same minimum education and minimum years of experience are priced on an average of, let's say, $110 versus your $125, GSA will negotiate you down to the $110. So this information on calc.gsa.gov is public knowledge. I would highly encourage you to go there if you're selling services and check each of your labor categories to make sure that you're in sync with the other vendors on the schedule. If not, it doesn't make sense for you to pursue this, because if you're not going to make margin or be profitable, especially considering those rates are price ceilings, then you may not want to go down this path. So let's actually talk about the proposal, the components of it. There's 3 main pieces of it. So we'll start with the administrative. This is where you'll submit your last 2 full years, 24 months financials, balance sheet, and income statement. You also note if you have any other schedules that have a heartbeat to them, any rejections, as well as the rejection letter, or any pending schedules that you are pursuing. Now, GSA currently is in the process, FY19 and FY20, of merging the existing 24 schedules that are categorized by your product or your service into one RFP or one schedule. So some of this information may potentially change as GSA kind of puts some parameters upon what they're looking for. There's also 2 tests that you'll need to complete. One is a readiness assessment. The other is the pathway to success. Both of these should have been completed within the last 12 months of the date that you submit. If they are longer than that, then you probably will need to take those over again. Otherwise, GSA will look at these as deficient. And you don't want to wait a couple months for them just to review your schedule, only to find that some of your documents are out of date. Second section is the technical. It's going to be the beefier section here. You're going to have a 2-page corporate narrative. You'll answer questions that GSA has outlined in the solicitation. You can find those either on FBO, looking at the solicitation number, or just going to the GSA website. Same thing with the quality control. You'll have a 2-page narrative there answering specific questions. Do not just simply upload your company's internal QC document. You really need to answer these questions. You'll then have a 4-page narrative for your past performance. These are going to be contracts that you've worked on within the last 2 years, down to the month that you submit your proposal to GSA, that are relevant to the special item number within the schedule. And you'll need 2 of those for basically all of the SIN numbers. Anything that's related to IT services, you'll need 3 projects. These should be significant projects. You need to have the base year completed. If it's a multi-year contract, again, those first 12 months need to be completed. And these projects cannot have ended before 2 years down to the month that you're submitting your proposal to GSA. And you probably want to allow at least a month or possibly two to get a competitive proposal put together. Open Ratings is a company, privately held company, subsidiary of Dun & Bradstreet. They conduct an anonymous survey to your customers. The customers that you need to include here are the ones that you use in the past performance projects. The minimum number of customers that you need to submit for Open Ratings is 6. And then you can do, the maximum can be 20. So if you think that somebody in that group may be throwing your numbers off, and it's pretty easy to come away with a score in the high 90s. So you want to, again, make sure that nobody there is going to be caught off guard. And that Open Ratings report will be sent to you. You then submit the receipt and the report to GSA. That also needs to have a heartbeat within at least 1 year. So if you're submitting 2 days, let's say 367 days after that report has been published and sent to you, then it will have been expired. So again, make sure it's within that 12-month time frame. The next section is the pricing. This is where you're going to identify your most favorite customer, or your MFC. This is the customer or category of customers that you give your best discounts to. And disclose to GSA these policies and procedures, how often you give your discounts, when, where, and why. You'll submit a price proposal, which will be offering GSA equal to or better than your most favorite customer pricing. And then you'll have to justify each of the line items that you're proposing to GSA, whether these are products or services. GSA preferably likes to see invoices. You can sometimes get away with proposals if you actually don't have the invoice justification. So again, the rates that you're going to propose to GSA will be better than your most favorite customer. And then that second litmus test that they're going to look at is all the other vendors that are on the schedule and making sure that you are in sync with them. So some best practices here. Number one, you want to make sure you read the solicitation. GSA will make changes to the solicitation as different policies take effect. So you may decide January 1st that you're going to embark on the GSA schedule. You download all the materials, you start preparing your proposal, you end up getting busy in February, you don't pick it back up again until June or July. And then by the time you submit, there have been some new forms to complete. So you want to make sure you keep an eye on the solicitation and any refreshes that GSA has made to the particular schedule that you're going after. Again, keeping in mind that all these are going to be consolidated into one. You want to make sure that your customer actually uses the schedule. There's other ways that they can purchase: simplified acquisition, sole source, set aside, other contract vehicles. Most agencies have their own contract vehicle. You've got NASA, SOUP, Navy Seaport E, and a host of others. As I mentioned many times, and I'll repeat it one more time, make sure you check your competitor rates on the calc.gsa.gov site before even pursuing the schedule. You want to make sure that, again, the schedule is going to be profitable for you, but also that your customer does use it. And you should know how big the market is for your particular product or service before pursuing it. It's always good to have a business plan in place. So this is just a nice visual on some of the other ways the government purchases. I kind of had called some of these out previously. So this was taken from a recent market analysis report that we did for a customer, showing here that GSA was 15% of the overall way that the government was buying this particular client's product. So, at this point, you can either make a decision that, yes, it's worth it, or no, most of this is going full and open competition through Fed Biz Ops, and maybe we just want to hire more sales staff versus putting that money into a schedule. So you can use data, which makes this market so unique to propel your strategy. So if the schedule is in your client's best interest or is in your best interest and your client's preferred method, make sure, again, your documents aren't expired. There's a lot that have an expiration to them. You also want to double check and triple check for content and quality. And then the price negotiations, you don't want to give away the farm in your proposal. You want to make sure you've got some, as we call it, wiggle room there when you actually are interacting with GSA to finalize your pricing. Some conclusions here: it's not for everybody. Do that homework up front. It'll save you a lot of time and headache if the schedule is not the best method for you and your customer. Pricing is the biggest component, so you really want to double and triple check that. As I mentioned before, your rates through GSA are only ceilings. You do have the opportunity to increase those at the end of every 12 months. If you go in with commercial rates, if you've got market rates, then those will be set through Department of Labor's Table 5 set rates there, or set escalation. And you also want to make sure as you're pursuing this proposal that you exceed the requirements. The worst thing to do is wait a couple months, get a rejection letter from GSA because something was incomplete, missing, expired, or you didn't quite meet the requirements. If you've got questions about the schedule, getting on, making modifications, audits, renewals, any other compliance or reporting related to the schedules, please contact us here at the phone number listed there, as well as the email. And thanks for your time, and hopefully you'll join us for some other webinars that we've got today.